Yeah, so anyway, I would put out these like faster episodes, like quicker episodes that are just really, really short and have something to do with something that's relevant in the short term. So maybe like movie reviews or just my initial impressions on a TV show episode or that might be really good or something like that. Or Camp NaNoWriMo that's like coming up in like 2 days or something like that. And I thought like since we have like a lot of like missileer lingo and everything like that, I would call them something that had to do with like missiles, but I'm like trying to think of what I would use. I don't know. It'll come to me.
Skybird, this is Dropkick with a red dash alpha message in 2 parts. Break.
5, 4, 3, hands on keys, turn. Greetings and felicitations. This is Michael Haspel. This is just going to be a really, really quick episode, just to talk about Camp NaNoWriMo. I keep messing that up. Anyway, the idea behind it is you guys may have heard about NaNoWriMo, and what that stands for is National Novel Writing Month, and that is in November. And they chose November because there's like a 3-day weekend in there, and of course Thanksgiving weekend in there. So there's a lot of time that you can spend writing, honestly. Now, the whole idea behind NaNoWriMo is that you will write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. And that is really kind of the lower end. That's not even really considered a novel modern day as far as marketability purposes go. But it also depends on the genre. For a YA novel or middle grade, 50,000 is, you could probably get away with it. The idea behind it is that you're going to just try to do it in 30 days, just a sprint writing, no matter what, push through it. Well, I have to admit that Camp NaNoWriMo kind of snuck up on me. I was aware that such a thing existed, but I didn't know when it was. And for my own self, I have been falling behind on a lot of my writing endeavors, and I needed to kind of just mentally set a deadline for myself, and I kind of made a promise that I would have stuff out for submission by the end of April. And the day job got in the way, all kinds of other stuff got in the way. There's been a lot of resistance, for those of you who are familiar with the book, The War of Art, where I've been getting in my own way. So I just decided, hey, in April, I'm going to buckle down and just get this project that I have on my plate right now finished and get it out the door. And it just so happens it coincides with Camp NaNoWriMo, so it's kind of perfect. And Camp NaNoWriMo, you set your own goals. So it isn't like a 50,000 word write a novel thing. It could just be like write a short story. It could be 20,000 words. They even suggest that you could do like a time thing. If you say, well, I'm only going to write 15 minutes a day or something, you just multiply that by 30 and that becomes your goal. So you get to set a goal that works for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be 50,000 words, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a novel. It could be a screenplay. It could be, you could just say, hey, I'm going to write 3 short stories in the month of April, or 1 short story, or just 500 words a day, or some kind of a goal. And the reason why this kind of works really well is, one, you're not doing it in a vacuum. You're not doing it alone. And oftentimes we writers, we work alone. We work in a vacuum. And so this gives us a chance to kind of undertake something with a bunch of friends, and those friends will help keep you accountable. And that's what's really cool about it. So they do have a website. It's campnanowrimo.org. And that is different than nanowrimo.org. It is actually 2 different websites. And the Camp NaNoWriMo has a whole camp motif, and they have these things called cabins. Now, Cabin is really just kind of a writer's group, kind of a forum, electronic bulletin board kind of thing, where each person can just put, a little post on there and folks can reply to it and it just streams up. They are limited to about 20 writers per cabin. Now, you can go in there once you set up your profile and what project you're going to work on, you can go in there and have them assign you to a cabin randomly, and it's just other writers that are, taking part in their projects, and they'll be mutually supportive, hopefully. I decided this year to host my own cabin. And so the only kind of hang up about it is that you do have to DM me your username for Camp NaNoWriMo if you want to be in my cabin. Right now, we have about 15 spots left. And at the time of this recording, this is very early Saturday morning that I'm recording this. And so this is, March 30th? Yeah, March 30th. And Camp NaNoWriMo will start on April 1st. So we do have not a whole lot of time, and I really wish I had known about this a little bit earlier, but I really just found out about it last week because I think they used to have something in June as well. So we're just going to, if you DM me on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever, if you can get a hold of me on Patreon or whatever, and send me your username if you want to be part of it, and I will send you an invite. And then you'll be able to get in. And I'll be posting little articles, helpful articles to, right now I just posted a couple on how to plot, how to use a plotting grid for folks that are not pantsers. Just different resources that you can use. So, and just to go into a couple of different things there, I think it might be easier for people that are pantsers to do something like this, because then you can just kind of write off the top of your head, whatever, and make sense of it later. And plotters, though, I have a lot of success with plotting everything out, and then I use the plotting grid. This year I'm using a new piece of software that I discovered at LTUE called Plotter, and it was very affordable, and it works on your phone and your tablet and everything. But honestly, I haven't used it that much. It tracks a bunch of different timelines, tracks all your characters, all that's. It's very, very intuitive and very easy to use. I used to use a program called StoryView, and that is way overkill for this. That's like production film software, that kind of thing. This is just more kind of just easy brainstorming stuff. It works really well, and it was affordable. It was really cheap. So I was just like, hey, I'll throw these guys some money in and just try it out. And I'm going to be using that throughout, and of course, writing with Scrivener. I can't praise Scrivener enough. Of course, you can use whatever you want. Microsoft Word, Evernote. I believe that the base Evernote account is free. So you can get on there and you can access Evernote from all your devices. And one of the keys to doing either NaNoWriMo or Camp NaNoWriMo is to squeeze in the word count whenever you can. It's easy to fall into the trap that, I have to, if I don't have time to write 1,667 words, which is incidentally the daily word count you need if you're going to hit 50,000 in 30 days. It's easy to fall into the trap that if you do not have time to write that many words, that you're not going to start at all. It's very easy to kind of lay into, to just be like, well, it takes me 2 hours to write that many words on a good day, and I don't have 2 hours, so I'm not even going to start. That's kind of if you look at it that way, you're going to start falling behind, and then you're never going to finish. So what you need to do is just write whatever you can. Don't think about it as writing 2,000 words or 1,000 words. Think about writing 100 words, and then the next 100 words, and then the next 100 words, and the next 100 words. And you'll find time right on your phone, right on, anything you can in your email program and whatever you have at hand, right? And then you can cut and paste that stuff in later at the end of the day and add up all those words. And you'll be surprised at how many words you can hit. And your stuff might be disjointed, but you know what? That's second draft problems. Your first draft is going to be ugly. It's going to be terrible. And there's a secret that they don't tell anybody. Everyone's first draft sucks. First draft is terrible for everybody. That's why Stephen King talks about writing with the door closed and writing with the door open. His first draft is writing with the door closed. He doesn't let anybody read it. It's just his. So you don't have to worry about your inner editor. You don't have to worry about anything else. You just need to get those words on the page. It is important once to do that you don't stop. So don't stop and go back and edit what you rewrote. You might want to go back and reread like the last 2 paragraphs that you wrote the day before, just so you can remember where you were at or anything. But I would not edit those. Just read them, and no matter how egregious the spelling errors are or grammar or anything like that, don't go back and edit it. Just keep going. And if you come up with a better idea, my advice to you would be to incorporate that idea in the project you're writing, like right now. So if you're writing a story and your character winds up, you started off and the character was an orphan, right? So their parents were dead and that's how you started writing it. And then you get 10,000 words into it and you find out that the villain is this person's estranged father, right? Wouldn't that be cool? I need to go back and add this guy's father to it. No, you don't. Just keep going. Make yourself a note that that the character was not an orphan, that he was just estranged from his father. And then when you go back on your second draft, then rewrite the father into the beginning. Just from the moment that you're there where you came up with the idea for the estranged father, just make a note in the margins or something and say, hey, this character has an estranged father and we need to go back and fix that, and just press from that point on. 30 days is not a lot of time. It's a lot of words depending on what goal you pick. But it can be done. And you'd be surprised how many projects are out there that were NaNoWriMo books that started out that way. My own novel, Graveyard Shift, granted, it went through a bajillion drafts, but it started off, first as a screenplay and then as a NaNoWriMo project. And I was able to hammer it all out. So that's really kind of all I needed to say right now, just to make you guys aware that there is this Camp NaNoWriMo and it starts April 1st. I will be posting on my Facebook authors page a bunch of stuff having to do with this, probably the entire month, just encouraging posts, stuff like that, and in the cabin for anybody who wants to get in there. Remember, this is a thing where you can set your own goal. So if you just want to write a short story, you can write a short story. It's just something to kind of just kick you in the butt. Do it with a bunch of other people that are also going through the same trials and tribulations as you are, and then they can hold you accountable for it. So it's actually something really cool. And we will, have a couple more of these messages, I suspect, throughout April, especially given that we got Game of Thrones and the Deadwood movie and Avengers Endgame. And I'm going to want to talk about those things from a storytelling perspective without having to do deep dives. So this is my way of just kind of doing like a little adjunct podcast and everything like that. And I'll try to keep them real short and everything. So anyway, that's it for me right now. And keep things clean and green. Hope to see you at the other end of Camp NaNoWriMo. And this is Mike, out. You have been listening to Quantum Froth Dispatches by Michael Haspel. Music and other cues are provided by The Fat Rat. The song you're hearing is Monody, featuring Laura Brem. If you would like to support the podcast, please visit www.patreon.com/QFD. Thank you for listening, and we now return you to your mundane reality.